How did the Egyptians abandon their mother tongue and speak Arabic? A brief overview of Egypt before entering the Arabs. Before the Arabs entered Egypt, Egypt was under the rule of the Roman occupation, which came after the end of the Ptolemaic state, which was established by Ptolemy I in 333 BC until Ptolemy 15, son of Cleopatra, in the year 30 BC. Then the Ptolemaic state ended after the defeat of Cleopatra and Antony at the hand of Octavius. Then the Roman era began in 30 BC. As Egypt suffered from the occupation of the Roman for a period of up to 7 centuries. The Romans worked during that period to steal and distort all the cultural, scientific and intellectual heritage that has the ancient Egyptians. They even set many restrictions for all Egyptians to prevent interference in the country's politics or employment in any political action, or even did not give them the opportunity to join the army. They also imposed monthly and annual taxes on the Egyptians, a traffic tax on the Nile River and on farmers, taxes on crops, animals, and water. Egypt suffered during that period from all kinds of anarchy, theft, looting and massacre in which the blood of many Egyptians flowed. The Egyptians also witnessed religious persecution of all kinds, including torture, killing and rape after entering the Christian religion in Egypt. When Diocletian divided the Roman Empire into 4 divisions, Egypt fell under the influence of Maximilian, and orders were issued to confront Christians in it harshly and bloody until the Milan Decree appeared, issued by Emperor Constantine, and decided that Christianity was the official religion of the Roman Empire. And Christianity remained the official religion in Egypt until the Arabs entered the Islamic conquest after the fall of the Babylon fortress in the hands of the Islamic conquest armies, was led by Amr bin Alas. The aforementioned fortress is considered an old fortress located in the city of Cairo in Egypt, specifically in the Old Cairo area next to the Coptic Museum. So how the ancient Egyptian lost their language, which they used to write and speak for thousands of years. We are going to explain this in 10 points. 1. The Coptic language is the vernacular dialect and the last development of the ancient Egyptian. In its last stages was named Demotic language, which written in Greek letters after adding 7 letters. The last of the Coptic alphabet, representing sounds that have no equivalent in the Greek language. The first attempts of the ancient Egyptians to write in Coptic in the Hellenistic period. However, the credit for stabilizing the Egyptian Coptic alphabet in the situation in which it is currently known and the normalization of the spelling of words was by the scholar Pentienus. He was the director of the Alexandria School of Theology, who made a Coptic translation of the Bible during the reign of Pope Demetrius the 12th Patriarch. So we find a link between Egyptian Christians and the language Coptic, as it is the language of the Egyptians in general, was the language of prayers and religious books for the Christians Egyptian. 2. After entering Egypt less than half a century, the Arabs began to turn to Arabize the country and to make the Arabic language an official language, due to their lack of knowledge of the Coptic language. Ibn al-Asbaq son of Abdul Aziz son of Marwan has ordered the Arabization of the Bible and other religious books, so that the Arabs would know if these books had anything bad on Islam, which is the Arabic translation that we have so far, as well as Christian books. 3. During the reign of the son of Abd al-Malik al-Umayyad in the year 705 CE, Arabic has declared an official language in the Egyptian country instead of the Coptic language. He worked to remove the writing from the hands of Copts working in government offices under the presidency of a Copt called Anthias, who was before that Secretary of the House of Money, Minister of Finance. 4. After the Caliph Omar, son of Abdul Aziz, ordered that bishops and churches be exempt from paying the penalties and the cities that were destroyed and the levies abolished. He sent a letter in which he instructed the Copts to abandon their work in the state as long as they remained on their religion. The Copts knew that these changes will lose their jobs. So they relied on learning the Arabic language, and what is known as the Darg appeared, which means writing Arabic words in Coptic letters. 5. Arabization was the first organized and powerful process, and it led to the transfer of many Persian terms in Greek and Coptic into Arabic. And it became, politically speaking, the state is Arabic in a fuller sense. Arabization helped the spread of the Arabic language and its spread among the Copts. Thus it became the language of codification, just as the writers' class began to appear. The Arabic language also became the language of administration, but it became the language of culture in addition to it being the language of politics and religion. Many of the people of Egypt were forced to give up their positions to the Arabs or to the Egyptians who learned the Arabic language, forcing them to learn the Arabic language to return to the positions they have lost. And it is worth noting that some Egyptians resorted to Arabization completely, as they worked to buy the names of the Arab tribes in what is known as the purchase of genealogies, so that they attribute themselves to the Arabs to avoid harassment. 6. The Arabization process intensified during the reign of the Fatimid Caliph al-Hakim by Amr Allah, 996-1021 AD, who issued strict orders to completely abolish the use of the Coptic language in homes, roads, and schools, and to punish everyone who uses it by cutting his tongue. He also ordered cutting the tongue of every mother who uses that language with her children in the house. And he used to go himself into the streets and spy on the doors of the houses to see if anyone was using the Coptic language. 7. Patriarch Gabriel bin Turk was the first to authorize reading the Bible and the sermon in Arabic in churches, followed by reading it in Coptic, as is the case today in the Egyptian Orthodox churches. 8. By the reach of the 13th century, the dominant language was the Arabic language, and Coptic scholars began writing in Arabic, such as children of Asil, Gerg son of Al-Amid, Abu Shaker son of Al-Rahab, Reverend Boutros al-Sedmani. And the first who wrote a Christian book in the Arabic language is Bishop Sawiris Cracker son of El-Mufakka. 9. It is certain that the inhabitants of Upper Egypt used to speak and write the Coptic language in the first years of the 16th century, in the early days of the Ottoman rule. We find that it remained after that among a few Christians in Upper Egypt. So let us not forget that the unknown soldier was behind Champollions when he decoding of the symbols of the Rosetta Stone. He is John el-Shaftachi, who was fluent in the Coptic language, which is by its nature the last development of the Egyptian language. 10. Most of the Christians of these monasteries know the Coptic of Seti Yahya, and the Christians of Upper Egypt and their children hardly speak except the Coptic of Seti Yahya. Sheikh of the Arab historians al-Makrizi. In the 18th century, the Coptic language, written in Arabic letters, appeared and is still used by scholars today, in addition to the original Coptic language.